What up, lovey-dovey's? Cha-cha-cha. It is, what is today? It's Wednesday. Yay, hump day. I hope everybody is having a good day. I am. I had a day off from work, which was great because boy, oh boy, man, what a weekend. Like that coming of the Aries New Moon, along with the movement of Pluto from from Capricorn into Aquarius. Capricorn, or who else was moving? I think Capricorn, or Saturn moved from Capricorn into Pisces, I think. So yeah, a lot of things like really intensely culminating and then pushing through into like an explosion of this like raw creation energy. This is our spark. This is like our head of the year. This is like the big bang of the elemental year ahead of us, because this is the new moon of Aries. So this starts us all over again in that astrological wheel. So if you've been hearing people talk about like the new year, like the new year finally starting, like this is it. This is it. This is the big moment, people. This is what we've been waiting for. For the last year, we've been talking about clearing the ground for a fresh new start, for a huge new beginning in our lives, for the end of the old life, and like the beginning of a whole new, like almost like a whole new sequel to the movie. I've been comparing it to like if Life the series had ended, but then we just picked right up, but then like the old rules don't have to apply to the characters anymore. And you really get to decide going forward, like, okay, who are you in the story now? Like, what kinds of characters do you want surrounding you? What do you want to fill your pages with? What kind of adventures and dreams do you have for yourself in this next chapter? You know, and who do you want to be? How has your character developed in the meantime? So that new moon yesterday launched us off into this big, huge new start, and also the new year. And then these major planets of transformation and change being Pluto, and then, you know, discipline and structure and responsibility of Capricorn, like all of these just like moving and shifting. So it's just been like so heavy. So much excitement, yet everybody at work, when I went into work last night, everybody was like, oh my God, what is this? What's going on, Liz? What's happening? And they're like, it's the new moon, isn't it? And I was like, yeah, maybe, probably. And they were like, it's chaos. We're all exhausted. I was like, I know, me too. And I'm already behind. So yeah, I didn't get to finish the workshop yesterday before work. And then I came home and I finished it. And I had to edit and upload, and I didn't get to go out for one of my coworkers is having a big birthday celebration, and I was gonna try to make it out for that, and I didn't even get to because it was just like everything was still uploading. So lots of crazy energy, but very, very exciting. And it's all reflecting in today's message. Since I got behind in our content, because I like partied once this whole month, and then I'm just like, I had a hangover, and then I missed a day of content. So I went ahead and did our anchor message for the week. And out of the wild unknown archetypes, we got the river, we got the kiss, and we got the poet. Underneath the river, we got Ace of Cups. Underneath the kiss, we got King of Pentacles. And this is that feminine King of Pentacles. And so what we've been talking about in this deck is that I'm considering this like the final court card. And each court card is a level of conscious maturity. So we go from page to knight to queen to king. And I think that the feminine king is the final highest, because I am starting to see these as the union and balance between the masculine and feminine energies within the self. And so that being the union of divine masculine and feminine for the realm of like pentacles, so to speak. But for the last like several weeks, we've been visited by the feminine kings in like over and over again out of the different suits. So what tells me is that we've all been doing this work where we've been really trying to pay attention and take care of ourselves. Mind, body, soul, spirit, our environment. Like we've been really trying to put the work in to edit and adjust and set ourselves up to create the most beautiful life we've imagined for ourselves this coming year. It's like now we've laid the foundations and we've got our materials all gathered, and now it's time to implement, right? So we've got the kiss and we've got the feminine king of pentacles underneath that. And then underneath the poet, we have Page of Pentacles, which signals a little message, possibly, maybe something, maybe just something small, but significant. So let's unpack. So the River and the Ace of Cups, I'm really feeling like this is speaking to this rebirth and renewal. It struck me that it's no accident that Passover and Easter happen in the spring. Passover is all about being released from slavery, breaking free from the chains that bind us, breaking addictions, breaking habits, breaking patterns, overcoming fears. But this is about leaving Egypt. It's about whatever plays the Pharaoh in our life, whatever ego games that we are always playing with ourselves, our inhibitions, fears, the things that control us and that keep us chained and bound. Passover is a time to break free from those chains and leave Egypt, and against all odds, right? And really invoke miracles. Easter is all about death and resurrection and being born again and redemption and forgiveness and renewal. And so I'm really feeling that these themes are beginning to be awakened within us, with the coming of spring. And it's funny too, because our weekly energy oracle forecast, I believe, we had heart chakra come up, like a heart chakra opening, and sacral chakra coming up. And so I think that this is speaking to both of those, with that opening of the heart, with that flush of feelings of hope and like excitement and innocence and naivete and hopefulness and sprightliness and even romance and love. So it's all very exciting. The River is about the flow of spiritual renewal. It's about ease and harmony. It's about surrender to where life is taking you, and radical acceptance, and letting life change you for the better, letting the water of the river rush over you and soften your edges. The river is not a stagnant body of water. It's constantly moving. So it talks about moving forward constantly, not staying in one spot. The river is a great energy to work with or get wisdom from about forgiveness and renewal and cleansing. And I think that that's one reason why people would go to the river to be baptized, because the water is pulling everything away and it's not staying there. It's not staying put. It's moving forward and it's dissipating and it's washing away and it's being absorbed by the greater whole. So I really feel like moving forward in this new beginning, anything that you can find it in your heart to let go, to forgive, to release, to let wash away in the river, let it flow away from you so that you're not carrying it into this next new story, so that you can have a heart that can be open and have plenty of space to let new experiences in without being tarnished by memories and residue of the past. The river can also be a symbol of the flow of divine inspiration and communication. The river in the Bible, it can be a reference to the Holy Spirit, like moving through you and flowing through you as well. Yes. Very good, very good. And I mean, Ace of Cups, it's all about like renewal, a new emotional experience, the beginning of a new cycle of emotional upliftment and fulfillment. So it's very exciting, very exciting. The Kiss and the King of Pentacles. So in a non-mundane, like on a spiritual level, I feel like this is a moment where we have this like sacred connection with divine right now. The more that we're in union within ourselves, feeling connected to source and feeling certain and feeling comfortable that we can use our wisdom and our logic, but we don't have to be bound by that either. Like we can transcend above it and have certainty beyond reason, beyond doubt. Learning how to balance that with our intuition and with play, and with being imaginative and creative. All of those masculine and feminine qualities within us, having brought that into balance and bringing that into union on the inside is helping us bring that into those conditions are starting to become apparent on the outside, right? Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Like as above, so below. It's like it starts at the seed level, right? And so on the inside, we're starting to become balanced and solid and grounded. And we've become, connected with source, with our creator on a new level and on a very personal level. And so that internal fulfillment is beginning to be reflected in our outer circumstances as well. So this could also be the introduction of new opportunities, new friends, new people in your life, but also possibly new love. If you are single and you have not met that person that you're looking for, like real love could be in the cards for you this year. There could be real potential for that. So keep your heart open and keep your eyes open. And just relax and let go of control. Let go of control issues. We've got the Poet above the Page of Pentacles. So I think that the more we are inspired and fulfilled by this appreciation of spirit, we start to slow down and we start to feel that and we start to see it everywhere. And so we start to see that spirit, source, Holy Spirit, angels, they're speaking to us in life all the time. Like God is always in an unconditional, eternal state of sharing light and love and fulfillment and guidance and protection and nurturing and sustenance to us. Communication as well. And so many times that communication is hidden in little symbols and synchronicities and the poetry of life. And sometimes super literal people miss out on that because they're always just taking everything at face value and they're not willing to like stretch their imagination and be foolish, right? But those of us who are willing to be foolish and we don't care if we're wrong and we're willing to stretch our imagination, we see these little synchronicities and these little magical moments that life is presenting to us. And we see the poetry and the beauty in it all. And that's very magical. And so we have very magical experiences with life. And we can see source everywhere and in everything. And it's very beautiful. And so source is always sending us these messages, right? And the more that we can live in that kind of awareness and that kind of consciousness, I think that our expression of the way that we appreciate that out in the world, I think it's important for others. I think that it's sharing that experience with others awakens them to being able to recognize what those things might look like in life and be open and awakened to all the ways that spirit is communicating with us and showing us love you know, at any given time. And sometimes we just miss those things because we aren't looking for it, or because we're distracted, or maybe we're looking too hard for it and we don't see that it's like the spirit kind of sneaks up on us and like taps us on the shoulder when we're not looking, and then we're like, oh my gosh, that kind of thing, right? So yeah, and so then, I mean, the things that we experience in this life, our lens and the way that we live it and reflect on these experiences and learn from them and what they take with us, like, they're ours to express out in the world, or they're our experiences that shape us, and they become our own poetry that we share. And sometimes we feel like maybe this isn't important to other people, but it is, and it does make a difference. And, you know, for me, when I read poetry, I understand like that there's some parts of myself that think this is so important. I love that this is done. And then sometimes I think like, oh, what a frivolous way to spend my time. I'm writing poetry, reading poetry. And then I'm like, no, it can never be a frivolous way to spend your time, because this is the way that the soul expresses itself through people as a channel. You know, poetry is the expression of someone's soul. You see into their heart, and it makes you feel seen, because that expression of their heart and soul in that moment captures you when you read it and you connect with it, almost as if it were your own sentiments, your own thoughts, your own words sometimes. So I don't know, I just feel like I went out into the woods and read some poetry today in my secret little spot, and it was just a very magical day, and very charmed. And I too saw the universe had presented some little poetic synchronicities and signs and communications, little messages from the Page of Pentacles, so to speak, or messages from the poet. Very, very charming. I also wanted to read The River, the Kiss, and the Poet from the book, because I read them when I was reading, when I was writing about all of this morning, and I found it really captivating, but I didn't really include a lot of it in my whatchamacallit, my blog. Okay, The River. The stream, the flow, the current. There's a reason so many rituals of change and rebirth take place in the river. It is forgiveness embodied in physical form. Without asking anything in return, the river washes away what is no longer necessary, smoothing over sharp edges and accepting all our mistakes and grievances. Once we step in, we are no longer in control. The river carries us further down the stream of transformation than we planned to go. Its waters have a special gift for reflecting back to us a new and dreamlike vision. Once the tears have passed, we see ourselves as we haven't before, with a little more lightness, grace, and fluidity. Keep in mind that you that stands within the river is the real you, full of deep emotion and potential, nothing to hide, nothing to judge. May you drink in the sight of your true self. Before I read the rest of this, and before I forget, I meant to tell you guys that one note from the Capricorn movement into Saturn moving into Pisces, I thought this was worth mentioning. Chris Corsini mentioned this as a side note in his New Moon workshop, and I thought it was a really good point to be aware of, that Saturn, like that Capricorn and Pisces don't necessarily get along very well, or Saturn doesn't get along very well with Pisces, because Saturn is very stern and strict, and Pisces is very soft and dreamy and very fluid and kind of like without boundaries, very mutable. And so Pisces is also like the most spiritual and philosophical sign of the zodiac. And so I think that combining my thoughts with what Chris Corsini was saying is that Pisces will have a softening influence on Saturn, which tells me that maybe people won't be as rigid and fear-based, and there may be less separation happening. Maybe that it will start melting the rigidity that's kept us so separate, and maybe our edges can start to soften a bit and be more inclusive and more understanding and accepting and compassionate. Like there's room for everyone. When light, acceptance, grace, reflection, and forgiveness. When dark, torment of emotions, flooding, overwhelm. Go deeper. Barry Lopez's River Notes. Ronnie Horn's Still Water. The river is emotion. When you are in its current, you will know it by the bursting forth of tears, laughter, song, despair. All of the emotions flow in its current. You can only resist the river for so long. Eventually, it will pull you toward change, so you may as well get in with style and grace. All right, let's read the kiss. The kiss, the touch, the chemistry, the sex. Before a first kiss, the air is electrified. Each breath is alive with possibility and magic. What will their lips be like? Their tongue? Do they want me in return? The archetypal energy of the kiss is a heightened sensation of merging with the other, of letting in what was moments ago separate, two becoming one. It is risky but beautiful business. These moments forever change us as we move past the solitary self toward union and acceptance. This card suggests true intimacy is around the corner, which requires bravery and surrender. When the kiss takes a non-human form, it may be experienced as touching the sacred, hearing a whisper, or being graced by a divine being. You will recognize the presence of the kiss by cold chills and an awakening of the heart. Heart chakra awakening this week is in our reading. When light, sensual expressiveness, merging, inviting. When dark, neediness, pressure, dominance, disrespect. Go deeper. Andy Warhol's 1963 film, The Kiss. Write down the story of your first kiss. What was changed in that moment? Intimacy is multi-layered and requires our reflection. Revisit what you consider to be sensual, taboo, acceptable, shameful. All right, and let us read the poet. The artist, the witness, the truth teller. The poet's work is to feel immensely and not be afraid. They must seek out truth in the darkest corners of the world and carry it back for all to see. This unique capacity resides within us all, regardless of our relationship to creativity. When the poet energy is present, there is a call for deep honesty and reflection, for seeing the big picture within the little one. The poet rides effortlessly between the personal and universal. It's possible that others may not seem to listen or care about the poet's work, but do not be discouraged. The words of the poet ring true for centuries to come, soothing the wounds of despair and violence that captivate our world. The poet's work is never finished. Find your voice and trust that the wind will carry it. When light, clairvoyant, wise, timeless. When dark, harmful words, sharp tongue, thwarted creativity. To go deeper, spend 1 hour reading poetry and then 1 more. It's likely there is a poem or poet that was meaningful to you at a young age. Revisit and reread it now. Be open to its message. The poet is related to the shaman and the bridge. These archetypes hover in the meeting place between the everyday and the sacred. One book that, like a poetry book that I really loved growing up, was by Jewel Kelcher. Actually, she came out with a poetry book in the 90s called A Night Without Armor. And it was an under-celebrated, I think, book of poetry. I thought it was really, really good. And recently I got it out and started to reread it. And I think it still holds. I still really like it. I always loved her as an artist and as just like a free spirit and a bohemian and a beautiful soul. Well, all right, y'all. I hope you have a good rest of your whenever you're watching this. And like this video, subscribe to my channel. Thank you for staying through till the end. And yeah, comment or emoji down below. It really helps the video get out to other people so they can get the messages too. All right, ciao.